what's up everybody? This is Valentina Brega. Welcome to another episode of the show Built with VAs. And in today's episode, we will be talking about company culture. Culture has become such a buzzword in the business world. And so many companies want to know, how do I build a culture? How do I build a good team with good core values? The answer will surprise you because actually you don't. You do not build a culture and you don't want to build a culture in your company. So if you're not sure what I mean by that, you don't want to miss this episode. And also we'll talk about the example of Peter Thiel, who's an investor in Airbnb, Facebook, and PayPal. And his single most important advice is this: don't F up the culture. Let's talk about what it means, because this is fundamentally going to change the way you look at work if you are focused right now on building a good culture in your business. You don't want to miss this? Let's go. In 2012, Airbnb raised $150 million from Peter Thiel, who's a billionaire founder of PayPal and one of Facebook's first investors. Now, after Thiel invested, Airbnb invited him to their office to show him the product, goals, KPIs. They had this big screen. They shared all of this with Peter Thiel. And midway through the conversation, the CEO asked him what single most important piece of advice he had for them. His answer, one sentence: don't up the culture. Then a year later, Brian Chesky, the co-founder and CEO of Airbnb, sent a letter to his team, and I'll read it here. He says this: after we closed our Series C with Peter Thiel in 2012, we invited him to our office. This was late last year, and we were in the Berlin room showing him various metrics. Midway through the conversation, I asked him what was the single most important piece of advice he had for us. He replied, don't up the culture. This wasn't what we were expecting from someone who just gave us $150 million. I asked him to elaborate on this. He said one of the reasons he invested in us was our culture. Our culture is the foundation for our company. And then he says more here in the letter, but then he says this: our culture is the foundation for our company. We may not be remembered for much after we're gone. And if Airbnb is around 100 years from now, surely we won't be a booking website for homes. We will be far past this in our evolution, not to mention that kids 100 years from now will be asking their grandparents what websites were. The thing that will endure for 100 years, the way it has for most 100-year companies, is the culture. The culture is what creates the foundation for all future innovation. If you break the culture, you break the machine that creates your products. So this is what he wrote to the team. And in the world of business, the concept of company culture has become a buzzword. And so many companies invest substantial resources and so much money in trying to create this amazing, cohesive, and this unique culture. And it is a reflection of their leadership. Good leadership has good cultures. Horrible cultures are created by poor leaders. So how do you build a culture? The answer is you don't. You don't build a culture. You foster it. And how do you do this? There are two parts to this. Number one, recruit the right people. And number two, create the environment for them to perform. Now let's talk about why you can't build a culture, why you foster this. Recruiting the right people is crucial. Rather than trying to forge a culture from scratch, when you hire individuals who already align with your company's values, you're not asking them to adopt a new set of principles, and instead you're recognizing what they're already bringing to the table, because these are the qualities they naturally possess. So that leads to a more genuine and natural workflow and work environment. You are starting with a solid foundation, and that means that they're also likely to be more intrinsically motivated and committed to the organization's mission. They don't need to be convinced or coerced into, embracing the company's core principles, because they already live them. Savvy entrepreneurs invest in people, not ideas. And I always say that about my company. I say I would much rather have an average product in the hands of a great team than a great product in the hands of an average team. The reason for that being that if I have a great team, they will turn any average idea into something spectacular, into the best product. So having the right people is very important. People have mindsets. Mindsets dictate how people in a company behave. Culture is the collective mindset. It is the sum of each individual's mindset on the team. So simply put, culture is how people behave when no one is watching. And what determines this? Your core values. I hire people on my team that are a match with my values, and my core values are value, integrity, betterment, extreme ownership, and hard work. So I want people on my team who share these values with me. I want people who work hard, who bring value in everything they do, people who have integrity, people who look to improve themselves personally, professionally, and also people who take extreme ownership. Once I give a task to somebody, once I give a responsibility to someone on my team, they completely own it. It becomes their project and they become the master culture of it way better than I am. So instead of forcing someone to adopt my values, my idea is I am going to look for people who already have them, and then I will recruit them. So how do I know if people on my team share my values? Because let's be honest, when you have an interview, people can wow you at interview, they can say the right thing, they can show you the most amazing resume, and then when you bring them on board, it's nothing like the way they presented themselves at the interview. So one way for me to understand whether or not this person is a good culture fit with me is I try to understand what it is that I'm looking for. So let's say I'm looking for a person who can think on their feet. I'm going to be giving them a situation in the recruiting process when I see how they think on their feet on the spot, and then I'll determine whether or not this person is a good fit for my company. So before you look to recruit talent, first of all, define your culture. What do you personally stand for? What does your company stand for? Your core values should be the company's core values as well, because you represent the company. What is something that is so true to yourself, so core to you, that no matter what, this is what you believe and this is what you'll always display? Is it hard work? Is it integrity? Is it loyalty? What is it for you? And then look for the same values in the people you're looking to hire. And then once you hire the right people, then you need to create the environment for them to perform. You sustain the culture. And how do you do this? Well, you get the purpose, mission, and vision in place. Make them clear and make sure that the people on your team understand what is your purpose, what is the mission, what is the vision. Communicate it clearly as well, because if they don't understand it, how do you expect them to execute on that? And then the second most important thing is you measure the right things. I don't think a lot of companies measure core values. You can't really put a number on it, but always keep this at the forefront of your mind. Measure the right things. What gets measured gets done. So if you want your people to work as a team, don't measure them by individual performances. Share your common goal, share your idea, what do you want to be in 1 year, in 6 months, and then have everyone row in the same direction. So what I'm trying to say here is that culture isn't something that can be artificially manufactured. That's why I don't believe that you can build a culture. You can foster it, you can sustain it, and instead, I think culture emerges naturally when you hire people who already share your values. However, there's nothing more confusing to employees than hearing about the company's values and seeing leaders act differently. As a leader, your actions are always being watched. So when you leave out the values you talk about, this builds trust within your team. Your team sees that you're not just talking the talk, but you're actually walking the walk as well. And it sets a high standard, which motivates everyone to do their best and contribute to the company's success. Peter Thiel thinks that culture is valuable, and I think he's right. So what does your culture look like? What does your company look like? Are you hiring people that share your values? If not, that's something to think about. If you're having any issues in the company, any drama in the company, anyone is not performing right, look at your culture. First of all, do you have your values defined for yourself, for your company? And then are you translating those values into your company through your actions, through what you say, through walking the walk, not just talking the talk? And are you looking for the same ideas, for the same principles in the people that you have in your team? If not, take a moment, think about what is missing in your company. So at Hire Train VA, when we hire virtual assistants for our clients, they go through this form they have to complete. And one of the questions in that form is, what are your core values? What do you stand for? And then we want to make sure that we find the virtual assistants that share those core values, because this is paramount to a business success. If you'd like to work with us, if you'd like to learn more about what we do, book a call with us, go to our website, Hire Train VA, check us out. And if you have any questions, let us know, get on a call with us, let's talk. All right, that was all for today's episode. I'll see you next time.